He flicked the coin at the start of the first match, but it's all about the snooker this evening.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The first frame, Judd Trump to break.
It's Judd Trump against Anthony Mcgill for a place in round 4 of the Wuhan Open, and a meeting with either John Higgins or Zach Shirty. And it's good afternoon to Alan McManus.
Good afternoon to you, Phil. Yeah, goes without saying, I'm going to really look forward to this. You always do when Judd Trump's in town. But, of course, my pal Anthony Mcgill, nice to see him on the main stage against one of the top players. I know Anthony's results the last couple of years haven't been what he would have liked, but Judd Trump knows all about him. As Philip mentioned, that he's got the better of Judd on that last occasion. Total respect Judd will have for Anthony's game.
And he finished his previous match impressively, Mcgill. He was playing Mustafa Dorgum of Egypt and won the last 3 frames, won them handsomely as well, breaks of 101, 70 and 90. So he comes into this match having produced a good comeback, winning with clinical breaks. That should stand him in good stead. He knows he's got to play well today against Judd Trump, who continues to be a serial winner. Already 2 titles this season, the Shanghai Masters, and then of course the very lucrative Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters, which he won in sensational fashion with that brilliant clearance of 72 against Mark Williams to win on the black. A little tap on the table, confirmation that he has indeed covered that red that's come back to balk. So that's an escape for Mcgill, who does have a couple of ranking titles on his CV. 2 of the smaller events, you'd have to say, the Indian Open back in 2016, the shootout the following year. Hasn't been to a ranking semi-final for nearly 2 years. That was the Northern Ireland Open, 2022. Trump, though, so measured and consistent from long range that even though he didn't have the easy red, he still knocked the long one in. Here, courtesy of wins over the Polish player Antoni Kowalski and then He Guozhang for the loss of only 3 frames combined. So fairly smooth passage for Trump to this 3rd round. Playing with so much confidence at the moment.
Nine. 17.
Yeah, that was a lovely shot. Deep in the cue ball. Left hand side to get it back up table. I think Judd's game actually, perhaps more than any other player, is perfectly suited to the tournaments out in China. The pockets play marginally more generous, and because they do, or as I suspect they do, I think he's able to play shots like that last one that are, you know, missable under most circumstances. He's got, you know, a greater range of shots for me when he plays in China. Probably about to see one of them now.
25.
In and out of bulk, and yeah, that brown nose kind of looming large. It's a big target, that, to avoid. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, a range of shots that other players simply don't have.
13.
6 of his now 29 ranking titles have come in China, and that 29th winning in Saudi Arabia took him ahead of Steve Davis. Only 3 players above him now. John Higgins, Stephen Hendry and Ronnie O'Sullivan, of course.
31.
But so much time on his side to quite possibly end up top of the tree as regards ranking events won. He's still only 35, Trump. And he seems incredibly motivated to break those sorts of records as well. Of course, he nearly didn't make the journey here to Wuhan last season. He just won the English Open and was umming and ahhing about whether to make the trip. Decided that he would commit to it. Arrived quite late in the evening, was playing the next morning. So feeling a bit jet-lagged inevitably, but didn't affect his performance, and he went on and lifted the trophy. Put together 22 wins in a row
39.
in October last year, which, given the modern day standard, is a remarkable feat.
Forty-four. $45.
Yeah, that was a super pot and cue ball. I mean, even in this break, he's kind of lost the cue ball 2 or 3 times, hasn't he? But that range of shots that he's got, kind of talking about, put them to good use. And you can see there that red by his bridge hand is on if he wants it.
51.
To left middle. Just thinking about it, because he's going to need another red in addition to that one. That's why he goes in. Let's see if that red's still on then.
58. Judd Trump, 58.
So the break ends at 58. A healthy lead, not a decisive one. Just undercut that red to the left centre, so there's still hope here for Mcgill. There's 75 left on the table. Oh, it's a really good cueing. That really is a positive sign for Mcgill. He had to get it really. Not easy. Not much of the pocket to aim at there. Not a full pocket anyway. So that will encourage him about the prospects of getting back into this frame. Currently ranked outside the world's top 32, which seems wrong really for a player of his calibre. He was as high as 12 a couple of years ago. Of course, he has a fine crucible pedigree. Came within a frame of making the final back in 2020 when he lost that extraordinary decider to Kyron Wilson on a fluke. Beat Mark Selby to continue the crucible curse when he made his crucible debut on his way to the quarters. He is a bit hampered here though by that red. He's very conscious of it. He's okay.
Seven.
Yeah, that was a delightful little cannon, wasn't it? Always trusting to luck, but he deserved to have some. Great accuracy and control.
13.
So all of a sudden, it's looking a wee bit more rosy for Anthony than it was a few minutes ago, just prior to Judd missing that red to left middle. It's even better now. Pretty sure he can shift that red without too much trouble. It's that distance off the cushion that you would absolutely want as well, where both red and cue ball should release. Yeah, unfortunate.
31.
Great pot. He kind of winced a
33.
little there, Anthony, because I think he was hoping to get an off straight green to lift the last red, but he can't get it from this. It might be that he has to play down on blue. Yeah, but that's the worst thing, obviously, as he left the red.
Anthony Mcgill, 23.
It just finished awkwardly, cue ball and cushion.
35 the deficit. Trump just looking at the scoreboard, so the red is all he needs. Mcgill would require a snooker. Don't think he fancied that shot much. He deliberated for a while, and it was a thin one. So Mcgill still very engaged in this frame. He's got the difficulty of the awkward final red. Be a great frame to win from 58 adrift.
One.
Yeah, pity.
Four.
Sort of short. I fancy Judd to have gotten contact on the red, but twice across with this red towards the brown and played it in a different way.
Anthony Mcgill, 4.
So 31. Can Judd kill this cue ball stone dead? Some effort, isn't it? It really is a great effort. There's the tap. Anthony basically just saying there, yeah, that's a really tough shot. Well tried, well played.
He has achieved the snooker. Swerve required from Mcgill. He's connected, but he's left the red, and that's what Trump needs to put himself 32 in front with only the colours left. Mcgill would need 2 snookers, so frame ball. And I think Trump will be relieved because there was just a chance for Mcgill to possibly pinch this frame.
Judd Trump, 4.
2 snookers to tie then, of the 4-point variety anyway. But the ball's not badly placed for snooker, so no surprise at all to see Mcgill coming back.
Two.
Jack Lazowski has the first frame against Jack Jones. Interesting match. The world finalist against the man still searching for a first ranking title. Chris Wakelin leads David Lilley 1-0. Hossein Vafai has taken the first against Yang Ander. Came through a real battle yesterday with Graham Dott. Martin O'Donnell has won the opening frame against Sijia Wee. Mcgill still looking for 2 snookers to tie the frame.
Anthony Mcgill, 3.
I'm surprised he's taken so long over this. I mean, you'd think he's going to pot the brown. I certainly would. And land, if you like, on a high blue off the spot on the right side, and then it's 1 cushion in behind the pink. That's the shot I think he could have been trying, but he can't play it from there. Perhaps he couldn't quite get the cue ball low enough, but anyway. Yeah, that wasn't easy. He just finished a bit awkward.
Anthony Mcgill, 4.
So a chance for Trump to kill this frame off. He got in with a long red in making that initial break of 58. And he's sunk the blue to clinch the frame. And then a Judd Trump special. The crowd enjoyed that one. His potting ability is off the scale. That one was academic, but Trump will be relieved, I think, to get that first frame, with Mcgill threatening a comeback, but it is the defending champion who leads. Anthony Mcgill breaking off in frame 2.
The second frame, Anthony Mcgill to break.
It's fair to say he's lost his way a little in the last couple of seasons, Mcgill. You may recall he experimented with a carbon graphite cue for a short period of time in a bid to just find something different, change things up. Nothing wrong with that. He's admitted himself that sometimes he can overthink things on the table, start to second guess his options and get a bit bogged down. But it is such a difficult sport, mentally as much as anything, Alan, and when you're struggling a bit and the results are thin on the ground, you're searching for something, you tend to see problems that aren't there, never mind the ones that are, and they're plentiful enough.
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah, the cue thing is once you start dipping your toe in that quite deep pool, isn't it? You can sort of get, well, you just get involved in switching cues, and there's a few players around that have been making that perhaps too much of a habit. Oh, that's lovely. I like actually that Anthony, the cue he's using now, it looks anyway to me, just looking at it. Excuse me, a cue that he got in 2015 from a cue maker in Thailand. It's a beautiful piece of wood, and he played brilliantly with it then. So, you know, old habits die hard and all that. See, I'm not quite certain if it is that cue, but yeah, this is good. Encouraging start to frame 2.
His class has never been in doubt And he is a big occasion player, as he's proved so many times. I mentioned that win over Selby when Selby was defending the world title on his Crucible debut. And then in 2021, the victory over Ronnie O'Sullivan over 25 frames at the Crucible. One of the hardest assignments there is, and the way in which he finished that match, having at one stage been 10-6 up, it looked as though he'd missed the boat when he trailed 12-11, but two big breaks, 136 and 85, to deny O'Sullivan. Fantastic performance.
$24.
I actually just got a close-up of that cue. It's not the one that he got in 2015. Excuse me for being the geek that I am, but yeah, the wood's not... it doesn't look right, so yeah, it looks quite an old cue actually, but it's got a nice touch with it.
His good friend John Higgins hasn't been shy of experimenting with different cues in the last few seasons. The irony being that the one he's got now was
32.
by mistake, wasn't it? By accident, because his previous one was damaged by water when it was left on the tarmac in Paris. And appears to have been very much a blessing in disguise for John, because the wood he's now using, he says, has given him more options on the table. He's got more power, can move the cue ball around. We saw him reach the British Open final. Came from behind the other day to win here.
And just again on cues, this is the kind of situation where I think you're better with something that's more traditional, just to keep the cue ball nice and close to, you know, the next shot, all of that. You know, that's where you gain with a modern cue is a bit of power here and there, but you do lose a bit of guile and a bit of touch. You know, it's like around here, Anthony needs to lay the cue ball on a button on a lot of shots, and he's able to do that because of his better feel with the older piece of wood.
$48.
6 reds, 6 blacks.
$49.
Yeah, but that kind of scuppers the maximum attempt, I think. May in fact end up not being a terrible thing, because the priority obviously is get the frame won.
$57.
And if he goes on to win the frame, it's one of those where if you ask the professional snooker player, what way would you like to win a frame? It's kind of this. Got a really good long red with pressure on it. Promote a few reds into play further down the line and win the frame in one visit. Not there yet, but not far off.
63. $64.
He's had a few disappointingly early exits this season. Lost in the first round of the British Open by whitewash to Liu Haoshan. Lost early in Saudi Arabia as well to Ashley Carty. But he has qualified for the upcoming Northern Ireland Open and International here in China. And a statement win, which victory over Judd Trump would certainly be, could just be the catalyst he's been looking for to kick on. It only takes one really good tournament for confidence, form, and indeed ranking position to be transformed. And there's a lot of points available this week. A lot of the big names are already either out of the tournament or didn't arrive in the first place here in Wuhan. The likes of O'Sullivan, Mark Allen, Neil Robertson took an early bath in the hands of Jackson Page, who himself lost today by whitewash to Long Zhuang, who of course knocked out Mark Selby in qualifying. So there's definitely an opportunity. The applause for the ball that should take Mcgill to a 1-all scoreline. This red to make sure. And what a good response this has been. There were signs in that first frame. The way he got in his bid to get back into the frame, he was cueing well. I think he's up for this. I'm sure that victory over Trump a couple of seasons ago at the Crucible will be in his mind. It will probably be in Trump's as well. Only 9 centuries last season for Mcgill. Looking now for his 6th of this season.
90. 91. 98. 99.
Very well played. An excellent break. Great long red to get in.
105.
And battle joined in style. That red doesn't matter.
Anthony Mcgill, 105.
An excellent response from Anthony Mcgill. A classy century there. Just his 6th of this season. 243rd of his career. And it's honours even here in Wuhan.
The 3rd frame, Judd Trump to break.
A half century from Trump in the opening frame, a century from Mcgill in the second. So 1 apiece. The winner of this will play either John Higgins or Zach Shurty. Higgins took the opening frame, but Shurty's just knocked in a century in that one to level up at 1-all. Shurty was 4-1 down in his previous round, made 3 consecutive breaks of 74 to turn it around, and Higgins came from 3-0 behind, so both players battle hard and going into that one.
So I guess what you're saying, Phil, if there's ever an almanac in 30 years' time for the Wuhan Open, that's going to be in the dark pages.
Very much so. I don't think we'll have to wait that long, Alan, to be honest. Mentioned Jackson Page, whitewashed by Long Jiayuan earlier today. He only scored 47 points in that game, Jackson. None at all in the first 3 frames. Having ousted Neil Robertson 5-1, of course, on the opening day. Other winners earlier today, Ben Wollaston, who joined Judd Trump at the tennis. 5-3 over Elliot Slessor. Barry Hawkins beat Stan Moody, who seems to be growing in confidence on the main tour in his second season. 5-3. Dwayne Jones edged out Pang Junju in a decider. Ali Carter beat Marco Fu 5-3, and he'll now play Sean Murphy. One of the standout ties of round 4 for sure, after Murphy defeated Noppon Sankam on table 2 in the earlier session.
Foul and miss. Anthony Mcgill, 4.
Just checking it for whether Judd can hit a red full ball. It doesn't look like it. So there's the system they use out in China to get the cue ball back exactly as was.
Which is very obviously the most effective technology for this particular part of the game. Apparently it's quite expensive, which is why it's not universally used. Good start from Jack Lazowski, by the way, against Jack Jones. Breaks of 87 and 136 to lead the world finalist 2-0.
Difficult to see whether he can hit full ball there, isn't it? So, yeah, so now we've got a, well, the referee's got a decision to make. It's very, very tight. I mean, there was a decision in the British Open not naming a referee where they made a poor decision. This is going to be, you know, touch and go, whether, as I say, if he can hit a red full ball.
Of course, the penalty for failing to do so in those circumstances is forfeiting the frame. The question is, as the cue ball needs to be just adjusted slightly, can Trump see one full ball? If he can, he can't afford to go for the thin edge again, and that is bang on.
Just a second.
Yeah, just doing the correct thing. Put the green against the yellow now. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think on that it's possible to hit the red full ball. It's very close though, isn't it?
Incredibly tight, yeah. In a way that, frankly, it didn't seem to be at the British Open.
This is a full ball.
Well, it sounds as though our referee, Liu Wei, is saying it is full ball, and therefore Trump would have to hit one. It is very, very tight, as Alan says. Very, very tight.
Yeah, Judd just checking. He'll accept the decision, but I think it is a good one. It's very, very tight. Bearing in mind also the green wasn't actually touching the yellow. There's a minuscule gap which helps on the referee's side of the decision, if you get my meaning.
Trump not convinced, clearly. But of course the referee's decision is final. So Trump looking at other options here. He's got to hit a red, otherwise he's 2-1 behind.
One other rule I would involve in the game in this situation, if Judd was to play the red that's on and he miscued, I wouldn't have that forfeit of frame. That's a side issue, but you know, it's very difficult. He's against the cushion. Referee's told him you've got to hit a red. He's trying to hit it maybe full ball or half ball, and if he miscued, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't punish it with the frame. That's just myself, but anyway. Oh, he's looking at going side cushion into the pack of reds. I know they're a wide target, but no, he's not. He's going two and into them. It pretty much guarantees that he hits a red. Yeah, it's well thought out, that. Well done.
Drama over.
Again, it was a very good decision, I think, by the referee. The other way to look at that is to come down and actually, from this end, can the red hit the cue ball? I mean, it's the same thing, but in some way it was a bit easier to judge it that way, but I say, good decision.
Other scores, Mark Joyce leads Robbie Williams 2-0, as does Chris Wakelin against David Lilley. And this is another good-looking chance now for Mcgill, having responded to losing the first frame with a century.
Nine.
His best performance last season, one quarter-final in a ranking event. That was at the Welsh Open. Lost in qualifying for the World Championship to He Guizhang.
16.
So it's been a tough time for him. That's why he's outside the world's top 32.
17.
But a victory today against Judd Trump, the runaway world #1, fresh from that very lucrative triumph in Saudi, would be a great tonic for him.
$24. 25. 32.
1
33.
First semblance of a loose one. Just wrong side of the blue. So we're going to have a mid-range red to keep this going. A bit closer than mid-range, but you get the point. You know, he should be really half of the distance towards the red than he is at the moment, but
38.
should get this type of shot with how straight he cues. Just watch the cue there, how straight it comes through. Lovely, isn't it?
39.
I think that initial red in the first frame, when he was trying to get back into it, augured well for Mcgill. It was very tricky, dead straight into half a centre pocket from close to the side cushion. I think that was an early indicator for Mcgill that he was cueing straight. And even though he lost the frame, of course, he then responded with the century. And this is looking promising again. That cannon hasn't quite gone to plan, though. Similar lead that Trump had in that first frame
46.
for Mcgill now, 58. Not enough, obviously.
Anthony Mcgill, 46.
Chris Waitlin is 2-0 up now on David Lilley. Break of 94 in the first frame. And the shootout champion of a couple of seasons back. And what a display thus far from Jack Lazowski. 87, 136. He's just made 81 in the third frame. Jack Jones has only scored 46 points in the first three.
Yeah, just going back to that ruling by the referee where she was absolutely correct in warning Judd, the reason I wouldn't give the frame on the third miss, the reason Judd didn't play the red that he could see full ball is because he was frightened of miscuing. If you get my meaning, you know, that's kind of why. You don't want a player frightened to play a shot because they're going to lose the frame. He was that frightened, he didn't play it. He played it as if he was snookered. Anyway, it's a small point.
Ding Junhui is back in front on table 2, having had that 11-frame winning streak broken by Yuan Sijun with a half century. Break of 95 from Ding to lead 2-1 on Discovery Plus. Ah, it's a great red. And Trump.
1.
Yeah, and if he can get through to the yellow, it's a perfect angle to play into the reds. No, obviously he can't.
Yellow.
Well, deciding that he can, it's worth the risk. This could be a major payoff. Oh, perhaps because of the pace he played that, he must have been very tight. Probably played it with a little bit of swerve left-hand side. Anthony Mcgill can breathe again.
Judd Trump, free. Touching ball.
This is where, excuse me, the game's getting more advanced as far as the tactical side of things than it's ever been. Anthony's not thinking about his own shot, he's thinking about Judd's. He's got three options: in behind yellow, blue, try to get in behind green, brown, but it's risky, or the right side of the table. He pretty much can take his pick with a touching ball. It looks like he's trying to get in behind green-brown. That's the risk, but the payoff is better. Brilliant shot. And brilliantly thought out. You see, if he plays in behind yellow-blue, Judd can go two cushions, rest on the red. There's no problem. So Anthony thought, you know what, I'm going to try and really put the hammer down here, which he has done. But Judd, as ever these days, is good on the defence. Of course, this time with no touching ball, Anthony's got a problem. 55 in front, he doesn't want any of that. 3 shots each and we're going to have a re-rack stuff.
Yes, clearly the onus in this situation is on Mcgill with that very hefty lead to move this frame on. Trump more than happy for it to descend into stalemate, given he's 55 adrift. But that's a big mistake. Well, he's gone in off.
Anthony Mcgill,
But he's left a red over the left corner. Catching the blue as he did might well cost him this frame. Took his time before deciding exactly where he wanted the cue ball, but it was worth the wait. A chance for Mcgill to move in front now, 60 in front.
Eight. 9.
So he's going to need another red to make the frame safe. And he's dominated the last 2 frames. Playing with confidence, striking the ball nicely, cueing straight.
Eighteen. 19.
Judd Trump, the defending champion, with plenty to think about. He knows his opponent is cueing well. And although he's only won 2 of their previous 9 meetings, Mcgill, one of those, of course, was at the Crucible. So
26.
he's a player for the big occasion. I think he relishes the opportunity to test himself against the best, even when
27.
he's not been in form.
$29. 30.
I think that raw may well have been for Ding Junhui, who's just made another century. He made 3 in his previous match. And he's about to take a 3-1 interval lead over there, over Yuan Sijun.
$37. 38.
Playing at a nice pace, isn't he?
Yeah, playing lovely. The thing that's noticeable, I think, is his cue ball. The fact that he's using a normal cue. His cue ball
45.
is superb. I mean, it was anyway. That's one of his great strengths, Anthony.
46.
You made the point, and I think you're absolutely correct. He does prefer and tend to play better against the better players.
Anthony Mcgill, 51 under
Another
break.
half century from Mcgill, 2 in that frame, and Judd Trump has been largely frozen out since he took the opener. And it's Mcgill now in front with 1 to come before the mid-session interval. He's playing exceptionally well, and he deservedly leads 2-1. So you're up to date as Anthony Mcgill breaks off in frame 4. A very encouraging start to this match for him.
It remains to be seen, obviously, whether he'll be punished for that, but that was a poor break off to catch the full face of the blue. Yeah, good pot, but cue ball's not really any good. The blue, obviously the pot is no problem. Not easy even for Judd to get the cue ball down this end. He's trying to pinch it, perhaps pinch the pocket. Oh, and If Anthony can get through the gap, he's on a good thing here, unexpectedly.
One. Eight. Nine.
Yeah, that'll do nicely, just get small things like that. Yeah. Just going Anthony's way at the moment, you know. Judd misses a blue and it leaves almost the impossible gap for Anthony with the initial red, and there again screwing out the back, just avoiding the yellow. And nice angle, red appears up table somewhere. Small things go a long way at this level.
Eleven. Twelve.
That might be another. Well, to get the red back out into the open. Looks like he's still on it.
Touching ball. Nineteen. One.
I'm not quite sure what he's smiling about there, but it's good to see. I think he's quite enjoying himself out there. He was maybe laughing. Brilliant recovery pot.
22.
Shame about the cue ball, but he was probably laughing at the reaction he got with that cue. It overscrewed by some distance, and he perhaps wasn't expecting it. It's good to see him finding the funny side of it.
When he first came on the scene and was giant killing the likes of Selby and others, he was known as the smiling assassin, wasn't he? He hasn't been quite as clinical of late, but he's certainly playing well today.
Anthony Mcgill, 22.
What he is able to do at the moment is keep Trump very much at arm's length. Trump is living off scraps. He's not really registered in the last couple of frames, and he's having to play safe from the baulk cushion again. We know when Trump gets on a roll, he can be devastating and pretty much unstoppable, but McGill's done a good job in this match so far of keeping him pretty cold, but that's a good return from Trump. A clean sweep from Jack Lazowski against Jack Jones, the world finalist on table 6 before the interval. '87, 136, 81 and 50 from Lazowski to lead 4-0. That's a mistake. Trump with a chance then to get that Q arm going again. Just 21 behind. Oh, he's overcut it though, and that's a result, isn't it, of just not having many shots and many pots to go at in recent times. He's out of sync at the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. When you've been frozen out, you get a mid-distance pot. The main reason you miss it is that coldness in the Q arm. It's a big juncture in this match, isn't it? If Anthony can just keep Judd quiet, but he's given him another look here, and it's not that often he'll pass up twice in a row. And this is quite a nice shot to have, with an automatic cue ball back towards baulk. But again, it goes astray. Anthony just got to hold firm for the time being, because he's all over Judd at the moment. Of course, the game, as it always will be, it's about potting balls and making breaks, but you just got to keep Judd quiet for the time being. When he gets his chance, jump all over it.
John Higgins is about to go 3-1 up on Zach Shirty. And Judd Trump this time locates a pot and is on the pink.
Yeah, that's it, kind of meaning where I think Anthony was a bit unlucky to leave that red, but yeah, the game just, you know, that's snooker, isn't it? You're going to get little bits and pieces of good and bad fortune, but this is where Judd, you used the word, and it's the absolute perfect word for him, Phil. It's devastating. He can look quiet, a bit meek, and nothing happening. And then all of a sudden, one shot changes everything. If this red goes in, pink waiting. Oh, That's a brilliant shot. He's played it too well. But at least he has a shot at it to the far corner.
This is the biggest shot of this session so far. There's plenty of pressure on it. And he was well wide, and that is a result of the way in which Mcgill has been playing, scoring heavily. Trump knew he was leaving the world if he missed, and he missed by quite a margin for him. Equally, it feels as though Mcgill has got to take advantage of this now. He has been the better player. 3-1 would be a fair reflection of the balance of play, but he's still got to make that happen. 2-2 would feel very deflating, I think, given the way things have gone so far. So, big visit for Mcgill. Black obviously out of commission at the moment. That was an excellent bit of cueing, because you could see he was conscious of the fact there were reds under his body, which is always an irritant, a distraction. Cued it very well. Hasn't exactly landed perfectly on a red, though. A good pot now. Does he have the confidence to play the green? It doesn't look like it. In practice he would be, but for the moment he's just going to try and keep things tight. Push down the yellow, in behind the blue. Well done. It's a good shot.
Anthony Mcgill, 8.
Yeah, just got to be careful. And the red nearest the end cushion. If he plays on that, there's danger lurking everywhere.
Another clean sweep pre-interval. It's gone the way of Chris Wakelin over David Lilley, 4-0. Winner of that to play either Ding or Yuan in the last 16. John Higgins 3-1 up on Zach Surety, confirmation of that at the mid-session.
That's a brilliant escape. Same danger lurking. It was that red by the black. That's why he had to get absolutely tight onto this red.
First scrappy sort of frame, but what a vital one. We didn't want that cannon on the pink. But does anything go for Mcgill? Trump may have got away with one there. Sijawi 2-1 up on Martin O'Donnell. Hossein Vafai 2-1 up on Zhang Anda. And Mark Joyce going well against Robbie Williams. 3-0 up on table 5. Winner of that to play the winner of the Zhang Hossein match. Pretty ugly looking table at the moment. Pink glued to the side cushion, red's awkward. There was a time in Trump's career when a frame like this would certainly not have been something he would have embraced, but of course he's become such a formidable all-round player. So many times when he's gone on to lift the silverware at the end of a snooker week, he's done so having come through tight matches, scrappy frames, often from losing positions, and that's a terrific pot. Particularly with the long stuff on his rest and cue.
1.
Of course, he was 4-0 behind to Wu Yiza in the round of 32 in Saudi Arabia. Seemingly on his way out, turned that around, and we know what happened next. He left the event £500,000 richer. Well, I'm not sure that would have dropped on some of the tables we see during the season, because it seemed to catch the top cushion pretty early in the piece, but drop it did. Wouldn't mind seeing that one again. Not sure whether we will. But Alan made the point earlier that
11.
the pockets in Asia tend to be on the more generous side, and we're talking fractions, obviously. Trump gradually eking his way back into contention in this all-important fourth frame. What a result it would be for him to get out of this mini-session level.
Yeah, I was a little surprised actually that he played the cannon on the pink.
15.
Didn't have to. It's not like he needs it to win the frame. So, lost the cue ball. But yeah, that read along the cushion. The reason he played it, the way that he played it, was because he knew that he didn't have to be 100% accurate. With the pockets being that bit forgiving.
Judd Trump 15.
Wasn't accurate enough there, clearly. A frame that will be instantly forgettable in terms of the absence of any fluency. But in terms of the match, it could be the most important of the entire contest. If Mcgill wins it, then clearly he's in a very strong position. Trump will have plenty to do after the interval. If Trump wins it, he'll be favourite again, and he'll feel as though he's maybe escaped with a scoreline that isn't reflective of the snooker we've seen. But there's still a lot of snooker to be played in this fourth frame. That's an excellent shot from Trump.
Yeah, that was a gem, wasn't it? It actually wasn't all that difficult. It's just seeing the shot and understanding what's going to happen. It's a bit like a old school billiard shot, that one.
Well back underway on table 2, with Yuan Sijun looking good at the moment to close to 3-2 behind to Ding, although there's still some way to go. That's a good pot again from Trump.
1. Green.
Green nominated. In behind the brown.
Judd on 1.
This is quite important for Anthony to hit the red at this first attempt, because if he doesn't and Judd takes red and the easy black, then he won't need the pink to win the frame. So there's quite a lot riding on this shot, and it's a very difficult hit. That's the other thing to say. You know, do you play it with a slow pace and risk leaving it? Do you play it with pace and risk leaving a free ball? A lot to consider. That is a fabulous shot. It really is. With the scoreboard as it is. And Anthony would have been aware of it all. A brilliant hit. Yeah, there's a tap. It tells you, doesn't it, how good a shot it was. I guess the same thing applies here. quite superb.
This is the other side of the sport, but no less impressive the amount of skill on show too. Outstanding escapes from snookers from Anthony McGill, both acknowledged by Trump. Yuan Sijun has just pulled a frame back. In fact, he's on a big break in frame 5. He's going to be 3-2 adrift of Ding. Yuan, who was engaged in an epic with Mark Selby at the recent British Open, which he lost on the final black. Selby, of course, going on to win that tournament. Proving to be quite a contest there on table 2. You can watch it on Discovery Plus.
Foul and a miss.
Not this time.
Judd Trump 7. Back.
It's going to go back.
Yeah, just to note, I'm pretty certain, 99% certain anyway, that Anthony cannot hit the red full ball. Yeah, the black was not quite touching the cushion. That looks good. So just for the purposes again of the 3 strikes and out rule, I'm pretty sure he couldn't see full ball. When we get a look at it, actually, the other way to look at it, can the red hit the cue ball full ball? Because that's the picture we're going to see of it. You see it there. Can the red hit the cue ball full ball? No. And it's a foul 7 again.
Foul and a miss. Judd Trump 7. Back.
So Trump now into the lead in this all-important 4th frame. It's been scrappy, it's been long, but both players acutely aware of its significance. It is a very nifty bit of tech, isn't it? And it definitely speeds things up significantly in terms of ball replacement. That's very evident. There you go. Absolutely bang on.
Yes, and no warning from Queenie Lou. She's absolutely all over it. Excellent referee, actually. But the same problem remains the same for Anthony. It's such a horrible... I mean, obviously, it's easy enough to hit the red, but he feels like, or he's pretty much guaranteed, he's going to get a double kiss, so then he's in no control whatsoever of where the red finishes. If he plays it direct, it's so dangerous.
And when you play at that pace, there's always the danger that
Foul and a miss.
the cue ball over that distance can drift a little, as that appeared to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't, put table fitters to to task over that. That's just part of the game. But actually, I think the shot he's playing is probably the correct shot. He might give away another foul here or there, but if he gets the pace correct, he can't leave the red. Yeah, that's very well played. Well done.
Past the 30-minute mark in this frame then. And still very much up for grabs. Trump has played some good safety to keep the pressure on McGill in this exchange. Oh,
Foul.
goodness, that is calamity.
Judge Trump,
The in off, the red out in the open. That could be a very expensive error from Anthony McGill. Trump, of course, with those penalty points, 18 of them just now, and another 4 there. Now 10 points clear. What a chance this is to get out of this little mini session on as even. Although he's still got to get back to the yellow. Which is not easy.
Yeah, just the man for the job, but Phil is absolutely right. That was very difficult to get anywhere nice on the yellow. That's about as good as could be expected. The pace that he hit that was incredible, but he's not out the woods yet. Needs one good positional shot. And as he covered it, oh wow.
Judge Trump, 4.
One of those frames where all sorts happens, and Trump acknowledging he's covered the potting angle of the yellow. That was a big chance, though, to win the frame that's gone begging. On the one hand, McGill obviously disappointed not to be able to see the yellow to pot it, but on the other, I'm sure delighted that he's back at the table rather than heading for his dressing room. Still a chance for him to win this frame, which seemed to have gone.
Ah, that's just a complete misjudgment. I think he was trying to get 2 cushions and just push the red back down table. The yellow, sorry. But this is a tough pot, but the good news is the angle's perfect to get on the green. Yeah, and then it goes.
2.
Needs the brown as well to win a very important frame. Not one that's going to live long in the memory, but a vital frame for Trump.
Five.
Not perfectly on this brown. It's a thinnish cut, but it's all he needs to leave McGill requiring 1 snooker. No problem.
9.
Anthony McGill has done most of the scoring in this match. He played exceptionally well from 1-0 behind to lead 2-1. He'd frozen Trump out at that stage with a century, a couple of half centuries as well. Trump has had to really battle his way to a position of dominance in this frame. One snooker to tie them. But given the position of pink and black, a big ask.
Well, he may as well pot the blue, obviously. It's with the pink where it is, it's absolutely no use to him. So
5.
I mean, it's a big ask, isn't it? Goes without saying, but he's got to make sure, or as best he can, just try and keep the pink safe for a couple of shots.
Brave effort.
Anthony Mcgill 5.
And he can still smile, that's the main thing.
It's one of them. I don't know if Judd was kind of smiling, but probably it was a great effort, wasn't it? Just be careful with the pink, Judd. Yeah, be a little bit careful. He's okay, but yeah, Anthony might be smiling again at that one.
Don't think that was the plan from Judd Trump, but it's ended up being a very effective shot. Might struggle to keep the black out of the pocket here.
Yeah, I'm sure Judd was aware not to hit it too hard, but it was a wee bit close for comfort, wasn't it? You don't invite trouble, because it'll find you without an invitation, no problem.
Mcgill needs a snooker to win this frame, which would be extraordinary from here. And Trump rolls the pink in. What a frame, what a battle that was, and what a great frame for the defending champion Judd Trump to win. Anthony Mcgill, I'm sure, will be feeling a little frustrated that he hasn't got a lead going into the mid-session interval. He played very well in frames 2 and 3, but Trump has outlasted him in the 4th, and so at the break, all to play for. They're level pegging at 2 frames all. Just a reminder then, Ding and Yuan continuing on table 2. We're back underway on table 1. Judd Trump breaking off in frame 5 of a possible 9.
请尽快就坐，谢
The
谢。
winner to play either John Higgins or Zach Judd for a place in the quarterfinals. Higgins still leading that one 3-2. He's in early in frame 6 against Judd.
请把手机调成静音。Brown. Judd Trump 1.
See how awkward the bridging is there. So many balls to bridge over, but well executed by Mcgill. All over on table 6, where Jack Lisowski has completed a 5-1 victory. What a performance as well over Jack Jones. Lisowski with 2 centuries, 2 other breaks of over 80, and a further break of 50. Finishing the match with a 130. An emphatic victory for Lisowski over the world finalist. And he will now play Wu Yiza. What a match that'll be. That's leaping off the round of 16 page as one not to miss. Chris Wakelin has also completed a resounding victory, a whitewash in fact, over David Lilley. Wakelin will play the winner of the Ding Yuan match in round 4. Scored very heavily today, 94, 85, 53 and 67.
Yeah, decent attempt, but couldn't get the red sufficiently away from the pocket to stop Anthony having a go at this. This is a big shot because you'd expect him to cannon another red. So you really got to get this, you'd think. Now is he on the black? Oh, that's pretty nasty, isn't it? There's 3 or 4 elements to it. The pink's hampering him, can't maybe quite get through, and would have to play it with a bit of side.
Anthony Mcgill won.
And that very well executed safety shot has given Anthony a major problem. If He's playing the thin edge, which he probably is. This is a very high tariff to get the cue ball back in bulk. Fabulous shot. That's brilliant.
It's had a bit of everything this match. Some really good breaks, a century from Mcgill, but some outstanding safety as well. But it's also had some great long potting. And there's another cracker from Trump, who undoubtedly would have been the happier of the two to emerge from that mini session 2-all. Barely got a look at a ball in frames 2 and 3, and had to work incredibly hard to eke out the 4th frame. But that's what Trump can do these days. He's more than happy to get stuck in the trenches when required, and we know what he's capable of when the balls are open like this.
6.
I mean, if he doesn't pot another ball this season, Alan, he's likely to be world #1, isn't he, for the duration, given he's just picked up 500,000 points in Saudi.
Yeah, he's not exactly looking over his shoulder at the top of the rankings on the back of that. Winning Saudi Arabia. He's actually on another run at the moment. I'm talking about this calendar year. There was a couple of small events that he played in that I don't count. There was one in, I think, Helsinki, non-ranking, and there was another one, actually, the 8-man invitation in Saudi Arabia earlier in the year. But forgetting those 2 events, he's actually hasn't failed to get to the quarter-finals of any tournament this calendar year. And 12 of those tournaments have been completed. I say he's got to the quarters every time. He's also in this one. And he's played a match in the International, which he won, so he'll be in that later this season. And probably has another 4 events, I would guess. 2 home nations, the Champion of Champions in the UK, to
19.
get underway. But it would be some feat to go the whole year, which would be around 18 tournaments and get to the quarter-finals at least of everything. There's still a long way to go in that, but what a golden run it is.
The consistency is relentless. I mean, when you consider he won 5 big titles last year, but it could have been even better. He was runner-up in 3 other big tournaments. Lost out in the corners of the Masters to Carter, having mismatched ball in a decider. In fact, the only bum note that he hit really was at the World Championship when he lost his way at the back end of his quarter-final there against Jack Jones. But his ability to maintain such high standards week in, week out has been unsurpassed in the last few seasons. And that is down entirely to the hard work he puts in. It's not by accident. Yes, he's one of the most gifted players we've ever seen, but that is allied to a tremendous work ethic.
34.请不要随意走动，谢谢大家。35. 40. 41.
40.
47. 48.
Just the one half century from Trump in the opening frame, the 58, which went a long way to winning him that frame. .55 in front,
55.
67 left, so this red and another high value colour will do it. Not quite the cannon he wanted, but the blue would be sufficient. So Anthony Mcgill needs a snooker.
61. Judd Trump, 61.
A nice contribution from Trump as he looks to edge in front. Just the one snooker though. We saw a major turning point earlier today here on table one. Karen Wilson 2-0 up on Zhao Guodong and seemingly going 3-0 up. Zhao needed a couple of snookers, managed to get them and ended up winning on the final pink. Another big name to fall by the wayside. And there's definitely still hope here for Mcgill, just that one snooker needed. Well, that surely had to go, and Anthony Mcgill has conceded the frame. So, Judd Trump, having been 2-1 behind and was in some danger of being 3-1 adrift at the interval, now leads Anthony Mcgill here in Wuhan by 3 frames to 2. Anthony Mcgill to break off in frame 6.
Frame 6. Anthony Mcgill to break.
This is their 10th meeting. Trump's won 7 of the previous 9, but their most recent went the way of Mcgill at the Crucible 2 seasons ago, 10-6, when Trump was a little out of sorts, it must be said, but Mcgill played very well, as he so often does at the Crucible. Trump having beaten Mcgill himself at the World Championship in 2022, 13-11.
push safety by Judd. Not in baulk, so this time I don't think Anthony can refuse this long red. It's a testing one. Good pot on the black, and he's not going to be refusing this either. Big shot this coming up. Bound to be leaving plenty, you would think.
It was a big shot.
Anthony Mcgill 1.
And it couldn't have got any closer, but it just caught enough of that near jaw to stay above ground. What a difference that could make. Had it dropped in, Mcgill could have been in for another big break. He made a century earlier in this match. But now that chance falls to Trump, who's just come off his own match best break of 61.
Nine.
Yeah, so this time he's going to have to call on that cue power to get down even close to reds. And that is about as good as he could have expected. Choice of a couple. Yeah, Judd Trump, he's probably not far and away the best at any one aspect of the game, actually, but he's so strong in pretty much every department. And also, not even the shots themselves, it's the will to win and the will to tough it out when it's been
28.
A tricky day, which this has been in stages, but oh, there's a poor one just about still on the black, but oh, he's called a pushing himself. Well done.
28. Anthony Mcgill 4.
Yes, the break ends surprisingly early with Trump declaring that push. Another potential turning point with Trump looking good there for 4-2. Certainly the fourth frame felt very important. The fact that Trump won it when Mcgill had chances for a 3-1 interval lead. And you just wondered whether maybe he'd missed the boat with Trump well in just now, but it's only a 23-point deficit for Mcgill. Something distracting Mcgill. I think it's just some movement in his eye line. Be delighted to be back at the table, that's for sure. But the red has just eluded him. So Trump straight back at the table.
One.
Yeah, of course, I was just saying there about Judd, all the sort of weapons that he has. I guess you could say, as far as power, he's far and away the best. And that one goes astray, so that's end of break as well. Not absolutely on it today.
5.
But he's still able to find a way. You know, he's been quite poor for him. And yet, 3-2 in front and a handy lead in this.
Judd Trump 5.
Anthony's got to find a way to just hang in there the next 5 or 10 minutes, get the next chance and see if he can draw level again. Because he's shown the odd sign of not wilting, but his game's kind of sort of dissipated the last frame and a half. And there's another weak one. He needs this cue ball to run for cover. I think he's got it on the red on the right side, but he's not, you know, he's not pressurising Judd just at the moment.
John Higgins has moved in front of Zach Shirty and within a frame of victory now. 4-3.
Judd Trump 1.
Zhang Anda has made a break of 75 to lead Hossein Vafai by 3 frames to 2 on table 4.
Got to be careful of the free ball.
Foul
It's
and
this
miss.
cue ball to
Judd
stop.
Trump 4.
Okay, thankfully it has.
Back.
Another result. Mark Joyce, now an amateur player, has dispatched Robbie Williams 5-0. So he'll play the winner of the Zhang Vafai match. Good hit. Always tricky, those two cushion escapes, but that couldn't have worked out better. Yes, a bit of fortune to get behind the yellow, but it was the contact that was all important, just thin enough to get the cue ball back to the safe end of the table, and a bit of a bonus to go with it.
That is absolutely incredible, isn't it? Well, what a shot that was. I was saying before about all elements that he's good at. That was, Selby's the master at that kind of stuff, but Judd, that was sensational.
Yeah, there's been some very good safety, but that one has gone wrong for Trump. He's pushed a red over the pocket, so here's a chance for Mcgill. High value colours not great at the moment. A roar like that normally means that Ding Junhui has done something significant, and I can confirm that is the case. He's just wrapped up a 5-2 victory over Yuan Sijun. Ding has looked very good this week and continues to be so. He's into the last 16 here in Wuhan to avenge that 5-0 drubbing that he suffered at the hands of Yuan last season in this event.
Yeah, that was a lovely shot. It didn't look all that much, but it sets up the chance now, because off this next red he's got the low black if he wants it. Well, maybe he doesn't. He's not quite straight enough on this one, but they're a nice little target. Just hold this cue ball just there. Yeah, well done. So
15.
no problem with contact on the reds. But that is, I'm afraid, is just not good enough. And Anthony knows that. For him, that's basic, to get the cannon, keep the cue ball around the pack of three. Bad mistake.
So just 11 points between them, with 59 still on. That was a break of 77, by the way, from Ding Junhui to wrap up a 5-2 win over Yuan Sijun on table 2. Again, Trump's push one over the pocket. Has he left it? Can he get to the potting angle?
Yeah, it's kind of tight, Phil, isn't it? But you would say he can just about get through. Just a hint of left-hand side. Just bend the cue ball round there. Yeah, he's angry, with good reason. He should have won the frame already. That's as angry as you'll ever see Anthony.
Anthony Mcgill may feel that he has to win this frame. Yes, he's not out of it, 2 down with 3 to play, but when you consider what Judd Trump has done in recent times, the momentum that he's got, the confidence that he has to win 3 in a row would take some doing. That is a terrific pot. It really is. Unfortunately, he's not nicely on a colour, particularly as he will be feeling, and we saw the frustration just now, that he should probably have been 3-1 up at the interval, that he's already had a chance to win this frame to level at 3-all, and has got to win it again now.
Anthony Mcgill 1.
Yeah, Judd looks like he's got perhaps the impossible gap, but the question is, what can he do with it?
Another winner in the shape of Si Jiahui, who has wrapped up a 5-1 victory over last season's Welsh Open runner-up Martin O'Donnell. His reward is a meeting with Dwayne Jones, who came through in a decider earlier at the expense of Pang Junxu. Vital safety exchange underway in this 6th frame. Tap on the table from Mcgill. Oh dear. Body language was an indicator that Mcgill realised he got that one all wrong. But this is not a gimme for Judd Trump. This red into the right corner, particularly with the extensions required. Delicate touch needed to cut this in.
10. Seven.
It's going to need both reds with colours to go 2 up with 3 to play.
Eight. $14. $15.
Look at the scoreboard. We'll tell him Justice Black and Anthony Mcgill will need 2 snookers. So Trump won the safety battle. Mcgill made the mistake, left Trump the chance, and barring those snookers, he's taken it.
Just Trump. 22.
And again, I think Mcgill has indicated to Trump that he's conceded the frame. He has. He leaves the arena. Big disappointment for Mcgill, who played so well to lead 2-1 and had chances for 3-1, but Judd Trump has now won 3 on the bounce and is within 1 frame of victory.
Frame 7. Judd Trump to break.
Judd Trump breaking off in the frame he hopes will carry him to round 4 here at the Wuhan Open. Defending champion looking in good shape now. 3 frames in a row from him, and a question, I guess, Alan, of what might have been for Anthony Mcgill.
Yeah, he's played, you know, well, as you said, in patches, especially early on, but he just kind of faltered towards the end of some of the closer frames, and I think also because of the attentions that Judd is able to put on his opponents at all times these days, even when Judd doesn't have his best game, because of his table knowledge and ring craft and all those things these days, he's put enough pressure on his opponents to eke mistakes from them. Still all not lost, obviously, but Anthony, he's going to have to just find something. A bit of form's another excellent escape. So difficult to play against is Judd, because most players are kind of the same, but Judd more so than anyone. He doesn't give you a second's peace out there. You can't ever sit back in your chair for a few shots and think, right, I'll just play a couple of safety shots here and get my cue arm. He's got you under pressure all the time. I think more pressure than pretty much anyone else. Generally, that is. You know, even here, you're terrified almost to push a red over left corner. You see what I mean? Even when you're playing a nice shot, there's danger round every corner. Doesn't mean he's going to pot this, but certainly taking it on. Oh, it's a fabulous pot. It's a brilliant shot.
1.
He hasn't missed much from long range today. And how good a shot was that? Beautifully controlled, not easy.
That's right. And look at the
8.
angle he's got in this red. To flick the other one away. It looks perfect, actually. And it was.
9. Sixteen. Seventeen. 22. 23.
Judd Trump has never been afraid of going in and out of baulk to keep a break going. Cue power to burn. But that wry smile would suggest that maybe he can't get to the potting angle of the red. Could be a reprieve for Anthony Mcgill. Drama at the end of John Higgins' match with Zach Schuerty. Higgins has just clinched victory on
28.
the final black in that 8th frame when Schuerty was in the mix to take it to a decider. So Higgins is through. Runner-up, of course, to Mark Selby at the recent British Open. He'll play the winner of this. Only one other match outstanding then in this third evening session. Zhang Anda and Hossein Vafai still locked at 3 each. Zhang in front in frame 7. Another chance for Trump from distance. And again, sweet as a nut, right in the middle.
Yeah, that's twice in this frame, isn't it? Anthony's played a pretty good safety shot, only to see a red dispatched. And both reds that he's potted at distance, and against normal players, you wouldn't mind leaving them in some way. But not this fella.
This is another tester, not a gimme this, quite close to the side cushion. But again, he makes the tricky look routine.
Yeah, also shots like that black that he just potted, it's quite tricky, but he plays it quickly, but yet carefully. He's got, you know, the balance is just superb. You know, he doesn't deliberate and have a look around. He plays it quickly, but you know that he's playing it with the utmost care and attention.
12.
This is beginning to look a little ominous now for Anthony
17.
Mcgill, who looked the stronger player in the first half of the match, pre-interval, but crucially couldn't convert the chances he had for 3-1. Trump would undoubtedly have been the happier with a 2-2 scoreline. And he's now threatening to win his 4th consecutive frame, and with it the match.
Yeah, and if he wins, it's that Trump Higgins thing's got a ring to it, isn't it?
21.
One to look forward to if Judd can close this out.
Higgins recently just pipping Trump to the post and becoming the 2nd player to make 1,000 career centuries. Trump, of course, following suit at the British Open, albeit that he had a 13-year head start.
29.
John Higgins on this man, whose conversion rate when it comes to making centuries is second to none. And now very close to sealing victory. Just this red required. For
37.
what has been a tricky assignment for Trump. He had to work very hard early in the match, particularly in that 4th frame. And it felt that that was the moment that this match turned.
38.
The crowd acknowledging match ball. Easy blue to follow. And a handshake in the offing very shortly. Disappointment for Mcgill, who's played some good stuff today. His results of late have been disappointing. He was clearly up for it this evening in Wuhan, but couldn't quite convert
Judd Trump,
the chances that he
43.
had to establish a bit of daylight between himself and his opponent. He's coming back, there's 59 left, so he needs 3 snookers to tie. Zhang Anda has just made a century to lead Hossein Vafai 4-3. Zhang doing at the moment what he did yesterday in saving his best snooker for the sharp end of the match, it would seem. 1 up with 2 to play against the former shootout champion. And a very long road back here for Anthony Mcgill. He needs 3 snookers to tie.
One.
Always the chance of a free ball, of course, which would make life significantly easier for Mcgill.
Nine. Sixteen. Seventeen. Twenty-four. Anthony Mcgill, 24.
Mcgill needs 3 snookers, but of course that's 3 successful snookers. He's going to have to lay a whole lot more in order to turn this frame around, which seems highly unlikely. Is this an unorthodox one that he's just laid? Or can Trump get through to the red? I think he can. Plenty of space. That would certainly have killed the match. There is a bit sticking out, but it's a little bit iffy, the shot. Trump has just got to mind his business here.
Yeah, I was just about to say there, he's got to watch the in-off in the green pocket with the red going behind the black. Free ball. It could have been a chance to tie the frame up. You know, credit for Anthony to Anthony for keeping this going. But as Philip said, and rightly so, you're going to need without free balls, you're probably going to need about 15 or 20 snookers to get the 12 penalty points. Because Judd's not going to give up a free ball.
Good hit from Trump. And you can see the disappointment as Mcgill walks back to his chair, having overcooked that one for the snooker. No shortage of balls to snooker behind, but it's such a tough ask to get 3. And that might be the end of the match. Anthony Mcgill out of his chair to offer his hand to Judd Trump, who's come through what was a very competitive match, particularly early on when Trump was actually being outplayed, when he trailed 2-1, could have been 3-1, but crucially he shared the first 4 and he's pushed on since then for a 5 frames to 2 win.